Here's a detailed timeline from Saturday night shooting. At 8:35 p.m. Eastern, shots were fired at the Washington Hilton. Secret Service removed President Trump from the ballroom. Moments after that, a Secret Service agent neutralized the gunman. And when we say neutralized, they took him down. He's still alive, as you know. That agent was shot but protected by his bulletproof vest and did not suffer major injuries, thank God. At 9:17, President Trump made his first post about the incident, confirming the suspect had been apprehended. 20 minutes later, authorities gave the all clear and the president left for the White House. He held a press briefing at the White House at 10:30 p.m. In fact, from inside the ballroom, we said he's going to make it back to the White House, but nobody could really move from there because there were 3,000 of us packed in. So a few journalists made it, and you saw it at home live. We all had to watch on our phones. At 11:13, the U.S. Attorney for D.C., Jeanine Pirro, announced initial charges against the suspect. This map shows the accused shooter's movements, and you can see the direction he ran in, past a security checkpoint. He then tried to get downstairs to the ballroom, but Secret Service tackled and restrained him. And you can see just how close, look at your screen, the shooter actually got to President Trump, who was on stage. In focus now, Cully Stimson, former U.S. Attorney for Violent Crime and Senior Legal Fellow at the Heritage Foundation. Darrin Porcher on set with me as a former NYPD Lieutenant. I want to start, Cully, with you on the security issue and what you maybe top line can say. This is, by the way, the 98th White House Correspondents Dinner. There were only a couple of times because of World War II and also COVID, where they canceled the dinner completely. So a ramp up to this was a whole lot of experience securing a tight room with a lot of people and a president on stage. It's yours.
So they did not treat this like a national security event. When you read the editorial in the Wall Street Journal and other papers, there were perimeters of security, but they didn't have it at the highest level. So people were allowed to go to the gym in the building. People were allowed to check in without having their bags checked. And I think there are a lot of security protocols that weren't followed. So they'll do a hot wash and an after-action report to figure out how they can ramp it back up if they're going to hold it at that hotel. The fact that this guy could bring guns on a train, check into the hotel, and then make it from his room down to that area is disturbing. And they have, luckily, he was apprehended. But I think that this was not done as well as it could be.
Darrin, your thoughts?
Well, for starters, I've done a lot of these presidential details. I've worked the Bush detail, I've worked the Clinton detail, I've worked the Obama detail. And the one thing that's been a common denominator is whenever we were in a hotel, we had an officer with a machine gun in that stairwell. If there was an officer with a machine gun in that stairwell, this assailant would not have been able to venture onto those grounds. In addition to that, when we look at the connecting security matrix from zone 1, 2, etc., this should have been enough communication to afford the people that were in these areas to not let someone get to that point in question. As we look at the security level, we think of the inauguration as a level 1. When the president is addressing Congress, that would be a level 1 as well. However, President Trump has been under enormous, I want to say enormous threats as we look at the past assassination attempts. Therefore, he should have been elevated to a level 1, and this didn't happen. And so as a result of this, the manifestation of the event that occurred transpired, and the Secret Service could have done a better job. Magnetometers should have been outside as well as inside. There should have been 2 focal points of searches, but this didn't happen.
Yeah, and that's really good advice and good information, because the job that they did inside there, as someone who attended in those tough moments, they were amazing. And all of the law enforcement and all of that, it was great. But what you're saying is the real work had to be done before this even happened. All right, I want to get to you, Cully, I'm going to come back. What should we expect today in that federal courthouse with the suspect?
It's going to be anticlimactic and quick. It's a presentment. They put 3 holding charges on the guy, but the real work begins and has begun collecting the evidence, because evidence drives charges. And so as soon as they get the evidence they need to present to the grand jury, they'll present the evidence to the grand jury. They'll issue an indictment sooner or later. There may be a superseding indictment if additional evidence is derived. And so today will be somewhat anticlimactic. It'll be done done in 15 minutes or less.
All right. Darrin, we're learning some interesting details about the suspect. And I read from one of our Fox News digital reporters that this guy wasn't on anybody's radar and all the things, which sometimes we can say. But he is coming from someplace that we're seeing a lot more of, and that is that protester out there who's saying incendiary things. A lot of these things are protected free speech, and a lot of them are not. He's almost like being cooked up by the system. What do you think?
Yeah, this is a person that's a clear lone wolf that wouldn't have been on the radar of law enforcement. This was an engineer, so to speak. But when we look at a lot of the things, such as the anti-Trump rhetoric and what's been posted online, it should have led family members to get this information out as quick as possible. The threats were presented to law enforcement after the fact, not before the fact.
Right.
And we as family and friends need to conjoin behind law enforcement to ensure that we provide this safe passageway. That didn't happen here. I don't want to fault the family, but at the same token, this information should have been inserted to law enforcement earlier.
Cully, as quick as we can, Blue Sky, that's a platform that's being talked about today, and some of the incendiary and threatening things potentially on that platform. Legal thoughts on that?
I agree with my colleague, but what this does do is it really makes it almost impossible for the defense to argue not guilty by reason of insanity. This was willful, deliberate, premeditated. He's a thoughtful guy. That takes that defense off the table, I think.
And just for people who don't know, Blue Sky's a left-leaning. Gentlemen, great to see you. Thank you very much for starting us off. Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox 1.